Okay, so thank you so much for joining me this evening for our emotions masterclass. So some of you may recognize parts of this emotions masterclass, but it's a bit of a combination of past classes and slides and experience and things and all things all mashed together as life is, right? It's just a big combination of choices and experiences that we all get to learn from. And hopefully you guys can get something out of what we have to share tonight. So are you ready to feel good more often? I say hell yes to that. And a lot of this came about was inspired by this book that I had been reading with my little girl, Indy, who's 4 years old at nighttime. And this book, Hey Awesome, which is a book that she quite often chooses herself. And it's all about anxiety. And I really benefit from reading this myself, as well as Indy as well. So there's a win-win situation. But there were some really cool things in there. And one of the big standouts for me was that even the most brave people still experience anxiety. And the difference between those so-called brave people and somebody who might be labeled with anxiety is the brave people, they feel the fear, but they do it anyway. They've learned the art, or they've seen it practiced or demonstrated in their parents or mentors, how to overcome the fear, to be able to push it aside for a moment and just be courageous enough for a long enough to be able to step into something that is a little bit uncomfortable, perhaps new or a little bit confronting. So adaptive, Indy's holding there with this book, and that's been those two things, adaptive, which we diffuse every night at the dinner table, and this book has been the inspiration for sharing this presentation with you guys. So in this class, we're going to talk a little bit about the science at a cellular level, share some tools and habits that I've benefited from, including in my day, that I encourage or invite you to take on and try. And also just some practical steps in the way of essential oils that you can integrate into your daily practice to help balance your mood and emotions. So a lot of you probably have heard this by now, but it's always good to recap on the importance of the body as a whole, as the mind, the body, and the spirit. It's not just a machine or a body with a problem in a specific point in our body. It's the body as a whole, as well as these other factors being the mind and the spirit as well. So when we address health concerns, we have to look at things holistically. And in order to maintain our health, we have to nourish these portions of our life as well. Because I have the belief, I have the knowing and the experience that our body is made up of intelligent cells, and they are hardwired to restore health naturally. Oftentimes we just need to get ourselves out of the way to allow our cells to naturally thrive. It's all of our what we call in yoga samskaras, or life experiences, our programming, our conditions, our diet, our environment, our thoughts, our beliefs, that are the result of what we experience in life. So there are some instances, very rare instances, where people don't get a choice in this case, some rare genetic concerns. But there certainly is some things that we can use in the way of essential oils and practice to help support those conditions as well. So emotions, that's what we're here to talk about, right? At the cellular level, they interact, or they interface with our cells through cell receptors. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Bruce Lipton's work, Biology of Belief, but he has the theory, or he came up with the theory of our environment being the biggest contributing factor to our genetic makeup, which I really love, because what that does is that it takes the power back. It brings it back to us, and we can empower the healer within and change our environment, and change our thoughts, our choices, our behaviors, our beliefs. We have the ability to do that. It's not easy, but we can do that. We can create new habits, thoughts, beliefs, and patterns. So check that book out, especially if you're into biology and science like myself. It goes pretty deep, but the whole idea around it is we aren't the victims of our genetic makeup. We aren't the victims of what our parents have passed down to us, but more so we can have the choice of taking the power back and changing that. And we have more of a say than our genes and the instructions that have been passed down to us. So emotions are processed throughout the body, and the best way to think of this is to take a moment. You can even in sitting here with me, if you're sitting or you're standing, you're lying down, whatever you're doing, whatever your position, if you can take a moment to close your eyes and bring your focus and attention to your body, or maybe a part of your body that's holding a bit of tension. For me, it's the lower back. It's the right-hand side of my body. And this is where I hold most of my stress. Excuse me, just had dinner. Stress and tension. So be aware of where you are holding these forms of stress, because we all experience stress in various forms. There might be various triggers for some, and then it's not a stress for others. For example, I'm just going to use driving as an example, and I look at my dad, of which I received a lot of my programming. Luckily, I didn't receive his road rage programming, because he's behind the wheel and he's just so stressed out and concerned about what everybody else around him is doing, which he cannot control, that he makes it an absolutely terrible experience. Whereas when I'm on the road, I'm listening to an audio book, I've got the cruise control on, and I'm just in my own world, just relaxed, obviously still being safe at the same time. But I know that people doing things around me is outside of my control, and I just maybe increase the safety gap and give them a friendly wave and send them on their way. So we get a choice of these moments of awareness. And we're also going to be talking in this presentation a little bit about the three brains, which you may have come across before. But for those who haven't heard of the heart brain or the gut brain, you have definitely heard of the mind brain, where most of our subconscious behavior comes from. A lot of the choices that we made it comes from the programs that we've received vastly in the first 7 years of our life. And this is usually behaviors that we've inherited or picked up or mirrored, learned from our parents or our environment or our surrogate parents, our peers and family members. So the subconscious mind is really, really powerful, and we can tap into that subconscious mind by creating new habits that we want to be a part of our life, as well as meditating, as well as a really great way to reprogram the subconscious mind. as well as listening to audios and hypnosis and various other forms. But the mind is a very powerful tool. And if we don't learn how to manage our mind, I'm not even going to say master our mind, because that's an impossible feat. It just doesn't feel like the right energy. If we learn to manage our mind, then our mind can work with us, work in favor with us, and we can use it as a tool in our favor, rather than in it having control over us and giving us results in life that we don't really want. If we really were aware of the programming, we would choose to not experience the results that our subconscious mind is actually determining. And that takes a lot of awareness. And the best way to get there is practicing meditation. Just keep on doing it, keep being aware of thoughts and habits and triggers and behaviors. It's good fun. So the heart, our intuition, there's some really cool stories out there about how people have received heart transplants and had memories of their donor. So you would think, oh, well, you'd only experience that if you had a brain transplant, right? Like you receive somebody else's brain. But it's actually, this can also happen in the heart as well. So it does have neural functions, and primarily part of our intuition. So the best way to describe this is when somebody walks into a room and you pick up on a vibe, or before judgment kicks in and you start to analyze and judge and interpret what you see and smell and hear, your heart has already made intuitive, it's already made an intuitive call on the energy of this person that's entered the room. So I really encourage you to have a little bit of a play with this when the next time this opportunity comes up. Like, what does your heart say when you enter a situation? What is your heart calling out to? What does it want more of in your life? What should you say no to? Lean into that heart-based intuition. And then of course, we've also got the gut brain as well, which is thought to be as complex as the mind brain, and is also scientifically proven to be able to repair its neurological makeup as well, which is really cool. And then we've heard of the gut brain link and the neurological highway between our brain and our gut being the vagus nerve. And this is there's a big connection here when it comes to both gut health and mental health. So if the gut's out, then the brain's out. If the brain's out, then the gut's out. So they're very connected, these two brains and these two organs. And we definitely found that the case in Renee's IBS as well. So when we have full and proper connected well-being with our three brains, then we get to experience full wellness and balanced health between these three brains. So I'm going to talk a little bit about emotions and your beliefs, because for me, in my upbringing, which I am so blessed and grateful for my upbringing in my childhood. I was given everything that I needed, and more, and I was loved. But I grew up with a lot of stress, anxiety, and depression all around me. So this is a picture taken at my uncle's wedding only a couple of years ago. My uncle's funeral only a couple of years ago. And both of my dad's brothers have passed away a little over 60. So a bit concerning. Both have heart conditions. My dad suffered from a stroke around the age of 40. He had a 5-way heart bypass, and it's really changed my world. It got me thinking about the way I was living life, and perhaps probably went down the wrong path, and the path of rebellion at first. But I knew there was something amiss here. Like, I gotta go and seek different ways of being. And life's too short, and your life's here to be enjoyed. But a lot of these behaviors I became, especially as I was introduced to the oils and I started to create more space around thoughts and behaviors, meditating, practicing yoga, I became aware of a lot of the behaviors in my family that I had inherited, that had become part of my subconscious programming, that involved these 3 emotions, which aren't good. So I had to get in and do a lot of the work, and I continue to do the work on a daily basis as well. And I do that by choosing the waves that I surf. Surfing is one of my coping mechanisms, my coping with humanism mechanisms, and obviously meditation and running and yoga, etc. But this is a tool that I use, and I have likened to this little saying about choosing which emotions that we ride. Choosing your associations and your environment and your diet and your daily habits. If I'm very sensitive, and I've known that for quite some time. Sensitive for the foods that I eat, the people that I'm around, thoughts and emotions and everything. And I do believe a lot of us are this way as well. It's just sometimes we condition or desensitize ourselves and tell ourselves we just need to toughen up. So being sensitive is not a weakness. It can be used as a strength, and it's great awareness. And this, you can also explore this strength a little bit further and see how you can use it to your advantage through just reading into other people's emotions and feelings and being more in tune at things at an energetic level. So it's good fun to play with. One thing that I have found really helps me, and our whole family does this every night, is we practice gratitudes at the dinner table. And there's so many different ways that you can do this. You can do it as you rise in the morning, if you're more of a morning person and you like to journal in the morning. Then just do 3 gratitudes, the 3 basic things that you're grateful for. It doesn't need to be anything crazy and exciting, or you don't need to have achieved your biggest dream goals or anything like that. It can just be, I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful to have a meal on the table. I'm grateful for my beautiful family. And this is a little practice we do every night. We light 3 candles, and Indy also participates as well. Loves blowing out the candles. I think that's the highlight, but she's really good with her gratitudes too. She tells some really cool stories and as well. So things that I recommend and I do, and I can say can definitely help bring about more balance in your 3 brains, and particularly your emotional health. And these aren't new and revelating things to a lot of people, but my first, I guess, invitation to consciousness or experience with bringing attention to breath and body consciousness was reading The Power of Now, and reading through a guided meditation and finding escape from my mind, because I was really struggling with stress, anxiety, and insomnia. I just couldn't sleep. My brain was just in control and it just wouldn't stop. I'd go to sleep at night and it'd just go, 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 go. So I had to learn a way how to manage or escape the mind to allow it to be at ease and get good, deep and restful sleep. Obviously, rest and stress management, doing things that you enjoy doing, going for a walk, being out in nature, being social, being with other people that you enjoy their company, having a laugh, drinking good alkaline water. We use a Zazen, we love it, and that makes a big difference. Get rid of all of the heavy metals that we get in our tap water. If you can, eat good, clean, organic whole foods. Avoid the middle aisles, avoid the numbers in your convenience foods, and avoiding all those fast foods as well that contains who knows what in them. But if organic isn't something that is easily achievable, accessible to you, look at the Clean 15, the Dirty Dozen, and do your best to eat good, hot, natural, healthy fruits and vegetables and whole foods. Of course, essential oils. And my number one tip for integrating the oils into your life is putting them in places that you're going to use them. So if you need to have 3 bottles of balance in the places that you're going to use it, then just do that, because you're better off having 3 bottles of balance in different places around your house rather than not using it. So I've got balance in my car, I've got balance at the front door, and I've also got balance in the gym, because that's a place I regularly do my morning practice, and do them daily. It takes a while to learn a new habit. Don't try and do it all at once, just one drop at a time. So a little bit about how the essential oils work at a chemical level or a cellular level. So I use balance, Karen, mostly in the morning, occasionally in the afternoon, but mostly in the morning. And I just do 2 to 3 drops on the bottoms of each foot and the back of the neck. And you can also use it at night as well. So, it's a good thing to use throughout the day too. Hey, Emily, how you doing? So as far as essential oils go, when the body or the cells are interpreting essential oils, they work very similarly to our emotions. They both interact chemically very similar to the way that our emotions do. And this is why they work so well when it comes to balancing emotions. I'm not sure if you saw today, but today's BOGO, buy neroli, get a free patchouli. Now, I've been feeling just a little bit out of whack lately. I went away to Byron last week. Like I said, I'm quite sensitive to my environment and energy and all that sort of stuff. And I came back just feeling really drained and like just had this headache and I didn't feel good. But today, after applying neroli and patchouli and doing Wim Hof breath, this is something that I've been doing on a daily basis, and doing a meditation followed by Wim Hof breath, I felt like I just felt so much better. Like I didn't feel like I had a headache. I just felt positive, happy, grounded. So I don't think it was just the neroli and the patchouli. I think it's a combination of things, but I feel like it certainly provided some grounding and reassuring benefits for me. So your cells are going to interpret the essential oils the same or very similar to the chemicals or hormones or the emotions that are circulating through your body based on environmental experiences, choices, beliefs, and all those other things that we're talking about at the start of our presentation. So to support healthy cell function, you can use essential oils such as wild orange. And this is something that I used quite heavily when I was working in my previous job in a previous life, which feels like a previous life now. It's like 5 years ago at Gosford Council. And I just didn't want to be there. And it was just a toxic environment and everyone was depressed and hated the place. But I used wild orange instead of drowning myself in coffee to lift my energy but then also to be able to sleep at night as well. So in particular, wild orange has a really great ability at getting in and clearing out negative emotions, as well as DDR prime. And that's because wild orange features heavily in DDR prime, along with frankincense and aioli and a bunch of other essential oils, which are great for helping us, supporting us emotionally and also physically at the cellular level. I like to think of it like the ancients. They used to think that there was, or believe or know that there was only ever one health condition, and that health condition is just out of vibrational alignment. And they would just use holistic health, as we're talking about tonight, to bring our cells back into vibrational alignment. Things like being out in the sun, eating fruits and vegetables, letting go of those thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve us, and doing some good, healthy physical activity as well. So doTERRA essential oils, you've probably seen this before, you've heard it. The CPTG grade, sourced from around the world. 2/3 of the stock is sourced from developing countries that doTERRA works with in their co-impact sourcing model to help these communities in need. And in turn, they get these beautiful essential oils that have a higher therapeutic value because they're sourced from their Aboriginal country. And to me, it just makes sense. You have the right soil pH, precipitation, sun, everything. So doTERRA's essential oils are the best you will get on the market. A cool little thing that I've heard Dave Sterling say, because doTERRA control or have most of the frankincense trade and market, is they sell their second and third grade frankincense to competing labels, and they keep the top grade, the first grade, for us, for the people who have the doTERRA bottles arriving on their doorstep. So that was a little bit cheeky, but I thought it was cool that he's making sure that we get the best stuff. So how do we use essential oils for emotional wellness in particular? And using them in, because essential oils are dynamic, but we can also use them in a targeted way. And when I say dynamic, essential oils have thousands of constituents and thousands of chemicals inside, or the makeup at a molecular level, that brings them into their own power. They're not like a synthetic drug where they just have one constituent that is synthesized and multiplied and taken in high doses. The essential oils are highly complex and they complement each other in their dynamic form. Now, this makes it really difficult for humans to be able to measure and comprehend. And this is why a lot of the time essential oils can't be considered to be scientifically proven, because they can't be double blindfold placebo tested, because they aren't a single constituent. There are many case studies, one of which I'm going to share with you. More and more research that is coming out thanks to doTERRA and a number of other leading markets in essential oils. But with these dynamic essential oils, we can use them in targeted ways, and you're probably familiar with them. So the first one is aromatic, and let's not discount the benefit of using the essential oils aromatically. When we smell an essential oil and it hits our sense of smell, it is directly linked to our emotional brain, and it can impact our moods and emotions almost instantaneously. And it's also a really good way to gain the benefits of the essential oils at a subliminal level, for lack of better terms. If you have unwilling participants in your family, home, or place of work, you can put essential oils in a diffuser, and they're going to benefit from the smell, the aromatic benefits, whether they like it or not. So that's a really cool way to use essential oils, and to remember to not discount the benefits. Using a diffuser, putting a couple of drops in your palms, just smelling it from the palms of your hands, and taking you to another place. So diffusing lavender peace, I use this on the bottoms of my feet, but just diffusing it on your bedside at night or in the family room, just to bring down the energy, get ready for bed, is a great way to manage anger and calming all these energetic, spirited children that are coming through, filled with sugar and Ritalin. Let's maybe get rid of the sugar and the Ritalin, bring in lavender peace, and get them grounded in nature, and start to nourish and honor their body and soul. So the next primary way that we can benefit from the oils in a targeted way is through topical use. So we talked about the brain before, and the cool thing about essential oils, there is a number of them that have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier, including frankincense and sandalwood, and Melissa is another one. And they're 3 essential oils, as an example, that are able to support us emotionally for depression and anxiety, stress. So my favorite place to apply them topically for targeted emotional support is behind the ears on the mastoid bone, or back of the neck and down the spine. That is my favorite place to target emotional issues that are coming up in the head, and it could be in the form of like an anxiety headache, or a stress headache, or something like that. Now, over the heart, I shared with you before about my dad, who is a big reason why I share natural health, because I knew there was a better way. I knew there must be another way to live a happy, healthy, natural, healthy life. And I believe heart conditions are caused by a hardening in the heart, largely due to emotions and stress. And you hear the history of my dad's upbringing, and it's quite easy to understand why there would be some emotional heart and physical heart conditions going on. So if you're struggling with forgiveness, or holding on to resentment and hate, anger, all these things that we hold in the heart, we've got to learn to open the heart, forgive and let go. Forgive is a great one to apply over the heart, using combination with Ho'oponopono, and say, I forgive you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And move through some of that resentment, hate, and anger that you might be holding on. That's not doing your heart any favor. Over the heart is a great place to apply the oils. And then, of course, applying them over our bowels if we're experiencing any fear, any anxiety, and also just stomach discomfort as well. And of course, on the bottoms of our feet, and this can be in the arches of our feet, which represents the gut when it comes to reflexology. And one of my favorite oils to apply topically, like I shared earlier, Karen's asked about neroli and patchouli and how did I use them. I'm not sure if I answered that before. Just let me know if I did, Karen. And yes, yay for Frankie, Ali, absolutely. And copaiba is also really good for emotional healing. So I've only got a couple of oils in this slide deck, because if I put them all in here, it would just be overwhelming and confusing, right? So, but copaiba, absolutely. This is doTERRA's alternative for a cannabis oil, and it interacts with our CB2 receptors in our bodies in a similar way to the way that CBD or cannabidiol interacts with our bodies. And there's a lot of emotional grounding, calming, and inflammation, respiratory support that we can benefit from. So just back on the neroli and the patchouli, the primary benefits of those two, neroli is really good for supporting anxiety and depression, and especially postnatal depression as well. It's great for opening the heart and reconnecting. It's also a natural aphrodisiac as well. So if you're looking to get reconnected with your partner, it doesn't necessarily need to be a sexual thing. It can just be open to communicating clearly. Then neroli is going to help, and that's sourced from the same plant as what petitgrain and bitter oranges as well. So it all comes from the same plant, really cool. And then patchouli, you might be familiar with the scent coming from the 60s. It was used as a natural antiperspirant or deodorant under the arms. And it's also, like Emily has mentioned, it's very grounding as well, very grounding and calming. So once again, really good for depression and anxiety. I like to use it underneath my feet. And I actually applied it tonight because I did really feel like I gained some benefits from using those two today. And I put neroli over the heart, but on the back of the neck, and patchouli on the bottoms of my feet. Now, we spoke about balance before, so I'm just going to touch on that really quickly. This is the equivalent of walking barefoot on Mother Earth by putting balance on the bottoms of your feet. So if you're wearing shoes all day, sorry, Ali, did you lose me? Am I back? Did I drop out? Not sure. So oxygenating our cells, as well as those grounding benefits that you get from applying balance on the bottoms of your feet. And this is because it has frankincense in there. It also has spruce and a lot of the woods, which have those grounding benefits. This is a pre-diluted oil. So we have applied this topically to our baby's feet as they have stepped into this world, just to give them that reassurance that it's okay, you are safe, which is all to do with our base or our root chakra. Is all about safety and security. So bringing those little souls into this world and giving them some reassurance that everything is okay. And yes, it does oxygenate our cells as well. Jump on YouTube and check out Balance Oxygenate Cells. And there's this really cool presentation that's been done by Dr. Hill of looking at some cells underneath a microscope and how balance has impacted them. And I've just added at the bottom here an invitation to consciousness, or invitation to space between thoughts. And this is a benefit that I have noticed and received, and a number of people have given me feedback about, who haven't changed anything but apart from using balance in their life. And they've come back and reported, hey, I'd usually be really snappy, or I'd respond in certain situations, but I don't feel like that anymore. I don't feel like I can just consciously choose to not buy into the drama and the anger and the resentment and all those things. It's really a space consciousness. That's my best interpretation of it. And then the third and final way, for the targeted way to use the essential oils to support us emotionally, is internally. So we can use them. And one of my favorite ways to use the essential oils internally to balance our emotions is by just dropping a drop of frankincense on the tongue and then lifting it to the roof or the soft palate of the mouth so it can cross the blood-brain barrier and impact our mood and emotions as well. And the reason why frankincense works so well at doing this and supporting us mentally and emotionally is it has a constituent that acts like a little oxygen raft and just feeds our brain lots of oxygen through the bloodstream. So other ways that we can use the essential oils internally to support us emotionally, like I shared before, wild orange in water, tangerine in water, also lemon as well lifts the mood. There's grapefruit. All of your citrus are going to be really cleansing to our digestive system, but also emotionally cleansing as well at a cellular level, getting rid and clearing out all of those negative emotions. So one of the best ways you can benefit from the essential oils internally is by adding citrus to our water, but just making sure that you're using stainless steel or glass and not plastic. Now, another thing that I highly recommend is the Lifelong Vitality to help provide the nutrients that our body needs, our body and our brain needs to be in balance. Early on in our doTERRA adventure, when doTERRA was quite new, even over in the States, we were lucky to get a lot of see and hear a lot of presentations and studies that aren't shared as much these days due to compliance and various other reasons. But there was one that particularly stands out to me with Lifelong Vitality was a control group and a study group where they used Lifelong Vitality and didn't change anything else in their diet or their practice or anything they do in a day. And all of these people were suffering from depression. They all reported gaining the benefits or not feeling as depressed or as bad in taking the Lifelong Vitality. And it's no surprise with the good omegas and essential oils that are in the omega blend, along with the nutrients that you get in the alpha CRS and the microplex VMZ. Of course, we talked about the gut and the brain link. So if your gut's out, your brain's out, your brain's out, your gut's out. So we've got to get our gut back into balance. Like I said, I start every single day with 3 to 5 drops in 700 mils of good alkaline water. I use PB Assist before my main meals, being my morning and my, if I have like a big meal in the afternoon or lunch, then I'll have it with that, or at night. Terrazyme is, I take that with my Lifelong Vitality. I don't take PB Assist every day, but people whose guts are particularly out of balance, I do recommend taking the PB Assist, and you can take this 30 days of the month. Particularly if you do a cleanse, and that's the GX Assist supplement that you see in the middle there, which has caprylic acid and thyme and oregano and a bunch of other essential oils that are really good for cleansing the digestive tract of candida and a bunch of parasites is another thing that we can gain the benefits from. But it's important to come along and replenish our gut flora with PB Assist after you've done that. Zendocrine is really good for detoxification. Of course, it's called the detoxification blend. No, not a news flash there, but so it's got geranium and cilantro, so really good for liver detoxification in particular, which is in some of the the research and practice Renee and I have done with medical medium. A lot of our health conditions are caused in the liver. So, and the reason being is our liver is like our chemical metabolizer, our filter. It's like it's getting rid of all of the gunk or the heavy metals and everything for us, because we live in such a toxic soup these days. We can't escape the petrol fumes and the chemicals in our environment. Yeah, we can limit them and can, as much as we can in our home. But outdoors is a different story these days. So we need to keep on top of reducing these heavy metals and other toxins that we come into contact with. Emily's just saying that she loves GX and Terrazyme, and she takes them both every day. I think I've got vague recollections of you saying that you take GX Assessed every day. And hey, if it works for you, everybody is different, you know, like I think that's a really good message. And I'm so glad that you've shared that, is because I'm just sharing with you what has worked for me and what I've seen work for others. But it doesn't mean that you have to do exactly what I tell you, because, you know, life is about trying things till you find what works. So if it's doing taking a 10-day detox tablet from doTERRA and you find that works if you take it daily, then that's great. You found a solution. And I know you love time. And time is in there. Yep, absolutely. Cool. So this is just an invitation for you to just be aware of what you want to plant, like what nourishing thoughts and practices and beliefs do you want to plant. Use this as an invitation, an opportunity to bring something in from this presentation, even if it's just one thing. That's my mission. It has been accomplished. If you bring something in and you do it daily as a result of watching this. I'm just going to touch really quickly on the adaptive system. I know we've gone on for quite some time, and I want to honor your time, but adaptive is doTERRA's newest mental and emotional blend that they've brought to the market. And it is one of the focus points for them, that they're focusing on mental health. And I think it couldn't come at a better time now, with all the emotional stress and strain that we're seeing in the world around us. So I'm going to talk about adaptive capsules. Yes, I am going to talk about adaptive capsules, Karen. So they aren't available in Australia yet, but I am pitching myself and to have these in Australia. I spoke to the general manager and the national sales manager for Australia, and he said, "What can I do to make your life easier?" Yeah, what can I do? And I was like, you can bring Terrazyme, Serenity soft gels, and adaptive capsules into the Australian market and make them available in Australian dollars. And they said, yes, we are going to do that, and we're going to work on that as a priority. So you can hold me accountable to hold them accountable, because I can't wait till these are available in Australia. But I also urge you to not be scared of jumping into the US shopping experience in your back office, especially for lifelong vitality. If you're going to take Terrazyme and you're going to use PB Assist or the Deep Blue Polyphenol Complex, which is really good for sore joints and body aches and pains, they are heavily discounted when you buy the Lifelong Vitality pack from the US. And the ingredients, although they're exactly almost identical in both the US and Australia, we have had numerous reports and personal experiences that the US Lifelong Vitality is actually more effective. It's better. And when you figure out the cost, it's actually pretty much exactly the same as what we get it for in Australia. So $115 Australian or $79.50 US. And then if you're getting the Terrazyme, which I recommend everybody uses and takes with their meals to help aid digestion, and it's just basically a bunch of plant enzymes in Terrazyme, then get it from the US. And then while you're there, you got access to adaptive capsules as well, a bunch, as well as all of the products. Okay, yeah, in the US has different promos as well as Australia as well, so you can tap into that. I think they're going to perhaps have a US BOGO next week too. So if you've got BOGO fever and you just want to ride the BOGO train, I'm pretty sure the US is having a BOGO next week too. So back to the capsules, because I love them. These really helped me when we were moving out of our home and selling our home. Sorry, there's this car going down the driveway. We're moving, selling our home in Wombrel and living temporarily at the in-laws and buying a house and moving up to Queensland. It all just happened in such a short amount of time for the young family, and it was bloody stressful. So these capsules really helped me through that time. The reason being, at a scientific level, is they contain a chemical called GABA that our brains, they naturally produce GABA, but we can also get deficient in GABA as well. So GABA can actually restore or help us feel in a good, happy, healthy state. And it's also really good to help reduce the feelings of anxiousness in particular. And then we've got another ingredient being selenium root. And what that is good for is selenium root is basically a bunch of alkaloids. But what that does is it provides neurotransmitter support for serotonin and GABA to be interpreted more effectively by our brains. So when we have the selenium root, the GABA and the serotonin, which we also naturally produce, the feel-good hormone, then we're going to experience the benefits of those two chemicals better. And then, of course, we have the ahi flower, which is a form of omega-3. And we all know what omega-3 is good for our nervous systems, joint health, and, of course, healthy brain function. And then, of course, there is the essential oils that we also get in these capsules as well. And that brings me to the two products that we do have on hand in Australia and the ingredients that are in there. So we focused a lot on the capsules, which we don't have in the Australian market. And I wanted to share with you that you can actually encapsulate the neat calming blend, or the 15 ml adaptive essential oil, in a veggie cap and take that internally, because all of the essential oils that are in there can be taken internally. You just don't get all the other ingredients that I mentioned before, like the GABA and the selenium root and ahi flower, but you still will gain the benefits if you do want to take them internally. And I would put I do have, don't do it daily, but if I feel like need a little bit more of a boost of emotional support, I'd put 3 to 4 drops in a veggie cap. So you can see that why the essential oils in this blend is so good for supporting us emotionally. And when we diffuse adaptive at night, we notice such a difference at the dinner table. Like, the energy is just calm, the kids aren't just going crazy, and it sets such a nice tone for the family home in the evening. So in the taking it internally, better, different from diffusing it. Yes. Yeah. So back to like the targeted approach. And they're metabolized differently as well. So when you're looking at the 3 main ways of using essential oils, when we use them internally, they are assimilated or metabolized faster. And they impact all of our cells a lot quicker, because we're putting them into our bodies and they're being digested. They're going straight into our bloodstream, and they're circulated really, really fast. It doesn't necessarily mean that using the oils internally is always going to be the better way to use essential oils. For example, if you're targeting sore joints and muscles, obviously applying them topically to the affected area is going to be better than taking them internally. Yeah, you can take essential oils internally to complement that. But when it comes to the difference between diffusing and taking them internally, when we smell the essential oils, they're going to immediately create or change or influence our mood instantaneously, even faster than taking them internally. So if you want to address an emotion or a situation then and there, then perhaps smelling the essential oils or diffusing them, putting a couple of drops in your palms, smelling the aroma, and then combine it with some topical use as well on the back of the neck. And then if you feel like you need some additional support, putting them in a veggie cap or taking the capsules, they're all going to complement each other. And everybody, like Emily was sharing before, she uses the GX Assist daily. I couldn't think of anything worse. I'm just so keen for those 10 days to be over. Like I get to the 10th day and my gut's just like, all right, I'm done. Yes. And but everybody's different. So just have a little bit of a play and feel into what works best for you. So there was a study that was done with the adaptive capsules as well. So this is one that was done by doTERRA and can be shared with people that you're introducing to adaptive, or can provide you with some reassurance that it is scientifically proven. But they gave people a control group, adaptive soft gels, and then somebody, the other control group, just a placebo. And they threw them into rooms and did they gave them math problems, and then they measured their heart rate and also the results of those math problems during that period. And not only did the temperature and the heart rate were they lower in the people or the group that had the adaptive capsules, but also their results were better as well. So they're performing better under stress by using the adaptive capsules. And this might actually explain your question a little bit better, Karen, about, which one should I use when? Using the capsules is more of a proactive approach. And you can see that it's supporting our bodies more neurologically and biochemically, whereas when we use them aromatically in our limbic system, we're getting immediate results and influencing our moods and emotions immediately by smelling them and them affecting or influencing our limbic system, our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. So Ali's just asked a question here. If we use the 10-day protocol with On Guard, lemon, oregano, tea tree, and frank, should we use GX Assist or for the same 10 days? So I would do one or the other. I wouldn't do both because they both have similar benefits. The GX Assist is more formulated specifically for parasites and candida with its caprylic acid, and it's also got the thyme in there, Emily's favorite, full of antioxidants. But the On Guard, lemon, oregano, tea tree, and frank, it is more of an all-rounder for gut health and also environmental threats in the way of colds and flus and parasites and everything. On the oregano in there, that's the game changer for gut health. So that's also in the GX Assist too. And then when you combine the On Guard and the tea tree along with oregano, then that's really a really powerful combination when it comes to combating the parasites, the virus, and the bacteria. And then Frank, he's just good for everything. We chuck him in because he's just a legend, and he complements all of those essential oils and all of the blends and protocols that we use. Could we add time to that protocol? Yes, you could add time to that protocol, or you could substitute the oregano with time. It's good to provide a little bit of variation to the protocols and the oils that you use for your body. It's benefiting from the oils in a different way and in a different a chemical makeup. So it's 3 to 4 drops of the adaptive in a veggie cap. Sorry. So the pricing for adaptive in Australia, the touch blend, which you get for free this month if you're getting started with either a kit or 100 PV of oils, or perhaps the BOGO box, which is an insane deal. And then the 15 ml blend is $55. And then from the US, you have the prices here. I'm not going to read them out. You can read, but I'm going to bring your attention to the soft gels. And you can see that's 46 US. So that works out to be around about $60 Australian. And if you were taking them on a daily basis, that is a month's supply. But I guarantee you are going to notice a difference if you are experiencing stress, anxiety, depression, or insomnia, or any of these emotional conditions. The adaptive soft gels, and even if you added in the Copaiba soft gels, if you want to get that extra level of benefit, is going to help, absolutely help. And then you've got the system, all three. So if you're looking to get all three, it's probably going to be cheaper to get it from the US and get all three, rather than just getting the soft gels from the US and then the other two from Australia. Cool. Emily's just shared a little protocol there. The one I do for Lyme is clove, myrrh, cinnamon, cumin, and thyme, and eucalyptus on the feet. And thyme is wicked for strep. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I just shared this offer that doTERRA has over February and March. So if you or anyone you know wants to get started, they get the free adaptive touch roller. And then if you introduce 4 or more people over February and March, then you get a free Melissa, which is super generous, having that $233 value. And this is unlimited. So you could get a lot of Melissa potentially. You could maybe get 2 or 3 bottles if you really wanted to, by introducing people to the oils. So just remember some of the things that we have shared tonight. You don't have to take it all on, and you don't have to treat my word, my experiences, my recommendations as gospel. I recommend that you have a little bit of a play. Don't be scared of trying new things and just integrating one new practice each day, and just being aware of the benefits that it's providing you. If it makes you feel good, perhaps keep continuing doing it. If it's not, try something else, because you are the true healer. You are empowering the healer within. You're the one who has control over your health and your good fortune. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate you guys being here and interacting, asking questions. It definitely makes it a whole lot more fun and interactive for me. I'm just going to stop recording. If you guys want to ask questions, take yourself off mute, you can.